and thank you for joining me here on the News Summary. I am Nazar Shatayeva with the current news and breaking stories about politics, business, sports and entertainment from Kazakhstan. Mass deaths of saiga antelopes has been stopped, said the Kazakh Minister of Agriculture Assylzhan Mamytbekov in a statement last Tuesday. However, the total of 127,000 animals has already died. The causes are under investigation. The Ministry of Agriculture is readying a special expedition to study the entire saiga migration territory in order to find out the cause of the mass deaths.
A number of
saiga antelopes have a chip and they can be easily traced how they move from the southern Kazakhstan, mostly the Kazakh region and other regions. Water, soil and grass samples should be taken for investigation along their migration route.
20 Kazakh military servicemen will soon become the UN peacekeeping mission observers. The Kazakh parliament has recently passed a new law on peacekeeping. No such document has ever been developed before, therefore its adoption is very important, the Deputy Defense Minister Talgat Mukhtarov said at the parliament's plenary session last week. The new law sets legal framework as to how the peacekeepers will be remunerated.
Wages increased triple for both the servicemen and civilians during their participation in peacekeeping operations. In 2013, the parliament decided to send 20 soldiers as military observers in peacekeeping missions. Our 20 soldiers are to be involved in operations in 4 countries: Ivory Coast, Western Sahara, Liberia and Haiti. Currently 6 of them are in Western Sahara and the Ivory Coast.
The new bill also outlines how the training of a national contingent for peacekeeping operations is to be held. Kazakh peacekeepers will take a special training in a particular battalion based at the Almaty Air Assault Brigade. The so-called Kazbat is already a fully equipped military unit, staffed with officers who speak English among other languages. The space station Baikonur has marked its 60th anniversary. World's first and largest operational space launch facility was founded on June 2, 1955, originally as a test center for the world's first intercontinental ballistic missile. Soon the facility was expanded to include launch facilities for space flights. Today there are 9 launch sites at Baikonur Cosmodrome. It holds a record number of launches a year. Every 4th spacecraft launch is carried out from Baikonur. In 2014, 21 rockets were launched in just a year. The Earth's first artificial satellite and the world's first astronaut, Yuri Gagarin, were sent into space from here. Baikonur has launched the total of 5,000 rockets. This year, the anniversary celebration was attended by Natalia Korolyova, daughter of the leading Soviet rocket engineer and spacecraft designer Sergei Korolyov. Currently the Doctor of Medical Sciences, the author of a documentary book titled Father, remembers that once it was her father, the legendary designer, who believed in the future of the space station.
Мой отец и Черток приехали сюда, академик Черток в дальнейшем.
My father and academician Boris Chertok, for the first time in 1955, came out here and they saw only a desert. There were only gerbil running and tumbleweed rolling, and Boris Chertok didn't believe that it was possible to develop something monumental right here. But my father was firm in his beliefs, and in fact, everything he believed in came true.
Здесь будет и будет очень скоро. И на самом деле так оно и случилось.
I specifically came here to mark the Baikonur anniversary. Everything was well organized, everything was good, and there were dances and even an orchestra performed. For me, it was almost like I was here for the 50th anniversary of Yuri Gagarin.
Baikonur Space Station is among top 3 stations in the world, along with Cape Canaveral in the US and the Satellite Launch Center Jiuquan in China, capable of launching spacecraft with men on board. Under the current Kazakh-Russian joint use, Baikonur remains a busy spaceport with numerous commercial, military and scientific missions being launched annually. Along with successful launches, the station's history has some dark pages. In October 1960, a major fire killed 76 soldiers and engineers here. These aren't all the news on the space industry for today. Construction of the Kazakhstan-Russian space rocket complex Baytarek at Baikonur has been postponed for 2021. According to the first Deputy Prime Minister of Kazakhstan, Bakhjan Sagintayev, the authorities are planning to abandon Proton rocket use that runs on toxic propellants once the new facility is put into operation. Proton will be replaced by a more environmentally friendly rocket. According to the agreement between Kazakhstan and Russia, a new complex will be developed on the basis of Angara carrier rocket. It will use cleaner and safer fuels based on kerosene and liquid oxygen.
We intend to develop Baytarek on the basis of the Angara carrier rocket. In this regard, we need to prepare all technical facilities up to 2021. This includes both the preparation of various documents and training of the staff.
During the Kazakh-Russian talks on Baikonur, the parties have reached an agreement on the Kazakh cosmonauts' flight to the International Space Station. The candidates and time of the flight are being determined. After famous British singer Sarah Brightman has changed her mind about the possibility of traveling to space, the emptied seat in the next Soyuz TMA-18M may be taken by one of 4 wishful candidates, including Kazakh cosmonaut Aydin Aimbetov, Russian cosmonaut Sergei Prokopyev, Russian billionaire Filaret Galcher, and Japanese businessman Satoshi Takamatsu. Astana has summed up the results of the first 5-year phase of the country's industrialization program. During the first phase, the total of 700 billion tenge was spent on construction and launch of manufacturing facilities all across Kazakhstan. Accelerated Industrial and Innovative Development Program has entered into its second phase of implementation, which will help lower Kazakhstan's dependence on mineral exports as the main source of wealth for its people. By 2025, Kazakhstan is set to entirely stop depending on oil exports.
780 projects were created by AIP in just 5 years, which was impressive according to WDB experts. The 700 billion tenge from the state's treasury was spent efficiently, while only 14 enterprises were declared unsuccessful. And $17 billion of private investments is a new record. No other CIS country except for Kazakhstan was able to create such favorable conditions for attracting foreign investments.
We all in the European Union have been impressed at the way Kazakhstan has been addressing very seriously the issue of diversification of its economy for the last 10 years.
The first 5-year plan, in fact, allowed recreating of the manufacturing sector. The energy deficit was eliminated as the modern transport infrastructure appeared. However, the plans for the second 5-year term are just as ambitious. But this time, consumer goods production, such as furniture, medicine, clothes, will be increased. For a convenience of financing, some sectors of economy were merged. The main focus is labor productivity in the industries, which means narrowing down and focusing on priority sectors. If earlier there were 12 branches, now there are only 6.
2010 to 2014 State Program for Accelerated Industrial and Innovative Development is credited by the government with an important increase in the manufacturing industry and output of Kazakhstan. There are a lot of elements of success there. However, we see a number of elements that can be built upon in order to ensure more success in the 2015 to 19 program. Some of the positive aspects of the 2015 to 19 program include a multifaceted approach that examines not only industry-specific growth, but also the business environment, competition, and the role of small and medium enterprises and other aspects. It's additional analytical capacity as well as capacities for public-private dialogue and constantly monitoring the impacts that the program is having and updating action plans accordingly, and really again focusing on the demand in end markets and how Kazakhstani companies can position themselves more competitively in those markets.
Kazakhstan intends to continue to diversify its economy. This is directly related to the 100 Concrete Steps program proposed by the president. Eventually, smart economy will help create middle class and increase the income of each citizen.
In the near future, Kazakhstan may become a platform that gives rise to brand new technologies in oil exploration and production. The deep drilling technologies and oil prospects of Kazakhstan have been discussed in Atyrau during the recent International Geological Conference.
The era of easily accessible oil is coming to its logical. Geologists advise to address the issue of drilling at greater depths and more detail now in order to maintain current levels and also to increase the volume of production. All giant fields discovered in the last 20 years, such as Kashagan, Tengiz and Karashaganak, have a depth of up to 5 kilometers. In order to maintain the high level of oil production in Kazakhstan, we need to open large deposits. And where will they be? According to forecasts of scientists and geologists, these large deposits may be at greater depths. Experts say it is pointless to look for oil in the old depths, at least in Kazakhstan. However, drilling deeper would open new great prospects. First of all, it is the development of qualitatively new approaches for oil production. We have made the first steps. We have proved it is known in the world that yes, these depths are promising, because quite recently it was thought that at the depth of 5 kilometers or more it is necessary to search for diamonds rather than oil, gas at best. Today everyone understands that it is possible to look for oil. First of all, future projects for deep drilling will allow to create a unique production and technology base. Scientists also will not stay on the sidelines because the well of 15 kilometers allows to look into the history of the formation of the Earth.
Eurasian Economic Union member countries intend to reduce drug imports to help increase the market share of domestic pharmaceutical producers. Watch the next story to learn more about the new regulations and plans aimed at promoting domestic medical products.
Шарообразные микрогранулы, в которых послойно вводится как лекарственное вещество.
Pharmaceutical company Phytochemistry operating in Karaganda is known far outside the country. The famous drug arglabin that helps stop the spread of cancer has been invented here. Now 80% of production is exported and the rest goes to local clinics and pharmacies. Karaganda pharmacologists produce the medicines themselves utilizing 100% of local content. At present, the manufacturer plans to expand its production. We hope that with the support of the Minister of Health SK Pharmacy Complex in the near future, the volume of public procurement will increase by introducing their treatment with the domestic drugs as a standard.
Также будет увеличено, то есть повысится объем государственных закупок.
The single distributor of medicines in Kazakhstan prefers domestic pharmaceutical manufacturers. Kazakhstan's import ratio is 3-1, and to date 18 agreements have been signed with Kazakh companies in the amount of more than 17 billion tenge. This means that Kazakhstan pharmacists are ready for dynamic work, especially as the task of local medicines marketing has been resolved. During the procurement, the privileges are given to domestic producers. Preferences are given only with the presence of the Certificate of Origin for Domestic Circulation, CTKZ, which means that they can compete only with other producers with similar certificates. However, experts say that attempts to become independent from foreign drug producers would be still premature. No matter how fast domestic producers would like to fill the shelves with local content, it's just not possible yet. Local producers have yet to conquer the top of the global developments in the field of pharmaceutics. While Kazakh scientists pore over the innovative drugs, the imported pills will dominate Kazakhstan's pharmacies. It's one thing to replace analginum, another insulin. Nobody came up with it yet, but there are such prospects for the next 5 years. There is a time to proceed with their development. According to the data, the share of imported pharmaceutical products in the market of Kazakhstan is the highest among the countries of the EAEU, 88%. In Belarus, it's 75%, and in Russia, it's 82%.
Kazakhstan has purchased new equipment for cancer treatment, the latest know-how in the field of radiology. The new accelerators are already in use in cancer centers of Astana, Almaty, Aktobe and Semey. The equipment will soon be delivered to 10 other regions.
The statistics on the oncological diseases resembles military reports. Each year, the disease kills 17,000 people. In total, 150,000 people are diagnosed with cancer in Kazakhstan. More and more people turn for radiation therapy. Stanislav Verbitsky has been struggling with cancer for several years. Every day, the pensioner uses radiation therapy. However, despite his age, he is very hopeful. Of course, I feel better now. I have received 20 sessions. Everything proceeds well. However, from now on, Kazakhstanis will fight cancer in a whole new way, and not every country can afford such expensive equipment. The devices are being tested as the staff is being trained for proper use.
Radiation is used for the treatment of many cancers, and this is specifically to implement advanced radiation therapy techniques. So this would allow us to increase cure.
The Oncology Center staff has high expectations for the latest know-how in radiology. The device operates on photons and electrons. The new equipment does not affect healthy tissues, but has a point impact directly on tumor.
Kazakhstan's Expo 2015 pavilion in Milan is among the 5 most visited displays. The 3,000 square meter pavilion has 6 zones dedicated to agriculture, aquaculture, ecology, and amazing facts about Kazakhstan. Every day, nearly 5,000 people visit the Kazakh stands that represent a blend of history, a future vision, classical elements, and the latest multimedia technologies. The total spending on the Kazakh pavilion amounted to 17 million euros. In total, 147 countries are taking part in the World's Fair, themed Feeding the Planet, Energy for Life.
При всем при этом, я тоже могу открыто сказать, очень...
I can also say openly and confidently we paid close attention not to big things but also to very small details because they determine and show professionalism. And at the moment we are proud to say that there was no incidents on the territory of the pavilion.
То есть мы уделяем внимание не только большим вещам, но и уделяем внимание очень мелким вещам.
How to increase the energy efficiency of Astana buildings? The Kazakh capital has hosted the finals of the 11th Student International Design Competition. Young architects from 20 countries presented their designs of a residential complex to be built for Expo 2017. The contestants spent about 70,000 architectural hours on the development of their projects. The participants took into account the local climate, applying the principles of environmentally friendly construction. Kazakhstani students have developed a multifunctional residential complex which includes a 3-story platform and 7 houses. According to the developers, the tenants will feel comfortable both inside the buildings and outside in the yard where strong winds will not impact them.
Задача, во-первых, чтобы это было построено в соответствии с генеральным планом.
The first problem is that it was built in accordance with the master plan and design of the Expo 2017. Secondly, it is to meet the multi-comfort construction standards. The idea implies an environmental, energy-efficient construction and all those aspects that people need in the future in order to live in these buildings.
We did this project in order to apply everything what we were studying in our master, that is sustainable building technology, especially for Astana, that is extreme climate conditions, as you know. So what we tried is to do a complex that have buildings using isomer materials that is really high standard for insulation, so that the quality of the people living here is improved. That it doesn't matter the conditions of the place you're living, you have to adapt to have comfort for the user. So that's what's basically our project about, and we are presenting here in the competition, hopefully to win.
Kazakh students have won the prestigious architectural design competition. Their works have been assessed by internationally recognized experts.
We
wanted to create some space that can be implemented, not just a project or an idea. We really thought about the future. We want to design and build, not just create nice ideas. We took the concept of Expo, the biosphere, as the base. That is how we got the idea of splashing water drops. First of all, this is the most balanced project in terms of architectural solutions. It meets energy efficiency and multi-comfort of the environment. It also meets the requirements and tasks that have been prepared by our jury.
Kazakhstan has hosted the design competition for the first time. The main organizer of the event was the French company Saint-Gobain, founded 350 years ago by King Louis XIV. The company's masters worked at the creation of the Mirror Hall in the Palace of Versailles. Farmers of the Otrar district in the South Kazakhstan region irrigate vegetables with thermal waters. The smart villagers have built a greenhouse next to a thermal spring. The green project has saved a lot of money for the beginners in this business. The agricultural producers intend to grow organic fruits and vegetables all year round.
Farmers believe that the reason tomatoes and cucumbers grown here are so good is the water, which plays the most important role. The water is used from a thermal spring and contains no chemicals. The water runs all day and night. We have alkaline soils, therefore water from the hot springs is good for the crops. It has iodine and no salt. The nature has provided everything. We do not buy special fertilizers and use only manure, which is from 7 to 11 years old. Otherwise the roots might get harmed. It is planned to increase the number of greenhouses. There are more than 10 thermal springs in the regional center. The state allocates funds for these purposes as well. 1.8 million tenge grants are issued for 1 hectare of greenhouse. Agricultural producers usually harvest twice a year, then twice they receive assistance from the state. There are also subsidies for fertilizers. 4 thermal springs in the regional center provide heat for high-rise buildings and social and commercial facilities. The hot water from the ground will soon reach the private sector.
Creativity breeds evolution. Kazakh inventors have presented their ideas to Almaty businessmen. Kazakhstan will soon adopt a law on commercialization of new scientific developments, as this was outlined as one of the steps in the 100 Development Steps program.
The small device is a magnetic fuel optimizer for cars. It was developed at the Kazakh Research Institute of Power Engineering. The installation of such a cylinder in any car ensures reduction of hazardous emissions by 50% and provides 20% fuel savings. The inventors may produce only 5 optimizers per day so far, selling them to their friends and acquaintances for $400 US.
Нам нужна коммерциализация. Сделать это.
We need commercialization. We want to produce this device not just for ourselves, but launch it for mass production. The scientists have tried to find investors for the project on this platform. 30 research projects have been presented to businessmen and government structures. The Technology Commercialization Center is the compulsory participant in such meetings. It has already issued grants to 65 projects, totaling nearly 6 billion tenge. One of our grantees has sold this device to concrete manufacturing plant, which purchased it and has been using it in own production. Arman Suleymanov is also engaged in domestic innovations promotion. The man bet on the development of popular mobile applications and now intends to teach another 50 programmers how to sell their goods. His 2-month school for IT specialists opens this summer. We have a small number of earning applications that are sold on the market. Therefore, our goal is to run our own business and make applications for the Western market.
Turkic countries are launching the first international children's contest. Called Bala Turkvision, the festival is scheduled for November and is to be hosted by Turkmenistan. However, auditions for children aged between 8 and 13 will begin today. Special jury will work in the regions, including professional actors, singers, and producers.
The national casting will be held under the auspices of Educational Cultural Charity Fund, Jandanu Alemi, and the first president, the leader of nation. This is a very good chance to show once again the Kazakh culture is a part of the advanced Turkic culture, the Turkic world, and the world in general. And we are sure that Kazakh children will take their rightful place in the Bala Turkvision international competition. In August, we will gather all our finalists from different regions at the Star House, where we will train them. Children will be working with mentors and professionals for 2 weeks. The final competition of the national contest will be held in September. The winner will represent Kazakhstan at the Grand Festival in Turkmenistan. All Turkic-speaking countries have started the national casting.
Well-known Kazakh violinist Yerzhan Kulibayev has received prestigious Washington Award. Yerzhan Kulibayev has become the first Kazakh artist to have received the American Award for actively promoting the development of international cultural relations. Kulibayev has long been representing Kazakhstan internationally. He is the winner of awards from Russia, Germany, Portugal, Argentina, and other countries.
Я очень рад, что мне была присуждена эта премия.
I am very glad that I was given this award. This is a very important achievement in my career. A trip to Kazakhstan to participate in the festival called Silk Road is scheduled this year. The concert has been planned, and I would certainly like to express my gratitude to the Ministry of Sports and Culture for their support, because I always feel their support no matter where I am. The minister supports cultural figures of Kazakhstan at all times. And the concert is planned this year in Astana, and I think that in the process of working, I will also try to tour Kazakhstan.
Kazakh artists have presented their works at the largest art exhibition in London. It has been their first Art 2015 exhibition, where over 150 booths have been presented from 40 countries. The Kazakh-French-British non-commercial organization is promoting the Kazakh exposition, which is yet little known in the West. The organization's founder believes that the Central Asian scene has a great potential because the world needs fresh trends and ideas.
I was very surprised from the beginning that the attention of institutions, of professionals, and all over the world, when we started to pay to new talents.
It depicts the Kazakh lifestyle. This is rather a tribute to our roots, to my roots, and our nation in general, because we are nomads. There is also a parallel with our life, because no matter how many Kazakhs I've met that live abroad, they move all the time.
These were the main news from Kazakhstan for the past week. Thank you for staying with me. Goodbye.